Okay, let's get this going, ladies and gentlemen. Just drop the link in the live chat if you want to go ahead and get into this draft with us. I asked y'all what pick you wanted me to draft from in this draft in particular. We had Austin saying the first pick after the elite quarterback tier, Logan saying pick 7. So, I mean, pick 7 is the first pick after the elite quarterback tier. So that is exactly where we are going to be selecting from. So there are about 5 spots open in this draft if you were wanting to get in and hang out with us on this live stream. So as we wait for this to fill up, let me ask you ever so kindly, if you have not done so already, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, and let's get this draft started. So pick 7, I already know what we are going to be looking at. I'm assuming you have Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Hurts, Herbert, as well as Trevor Lawrence all off the board. So I think we will be looking at one of the elite level wide receivers. Of course, I don't want to say too much here before we actually make our selection. But yeah, let's see what we will have. But thank you so much, everybody, for coming to hang out with us in this live stream. Really appreciate y'all. Prod out here. Happy to see you, my man. Yeah, Prod's been getting into drafts with us every single day on the Flock Fantasy YouTube channel. Of course, those are underdog drafts. Those aren't dynasty drafts. And to my surprise, Lamar Jackson goes ahead of Trevor Lawrence here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take Trevor Lawrence at pick 7. I think you can make an argument to go with one of the elite level wide receivers here, whether this is Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. But I mean, with Lawrence, I think you have a very high floor and ceiling combo based off of the projections this next season and the range of outcomes where his dynasty value will be going forward. But yeah, happy to see you out here, Prod. Scorp says, did Underdog ADP update a bit? Yeah, I think Underdog ADP updates literally every single day, right? And yeah, we'll get into an Underdog draft later today as well. I think we have our Underdog draft scheduled on the Flog Fantasy YouTube channel at 6. I'm going to try to do 6 p.m. Central for most days with those live streams from now on. And yeah, just in case y'all want to get into a draft with us, literally every single day we are drafting on Underdog. I mean, on Underdog, it's best ball, so no time commitment at all during the year. So I drafted 700 teams there last year, won $150,000. Of course, you can sign up, get into some drafts in pretty much every single state. This year, Best Ball Mania is a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool with $3 million to first place. Those are the states Underdog is available in. And yeah, when you sign up with promo code FLOCK with the link in the live chat description or comment section, they'll actually match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get my 2023 fantasy football rankings and my dynasty rankings plus dynasty rookie rankings. But Chris, happy to see you out, my friend, says, Mason, happy Tuesday. What's your outlook on Kmet? Is he a hold? Thinking I may be able to flip him in a package for some running back depth. I personally am holding Kmet. I mean, the thing is, if you were to go through and try to move Kmet, try to sell him for something, you're not going to get anything, my friend. I mean, in reality, Kmet just holds literally no value in Dynasty Fantasy Football right now. I mean, if we are trying to project out with Kmet, this is a tight end that, yeah, did not score any points at all this past season. But at the end of the day, you have to be realistic in that he actually did have a respectable market share number in Chicago. The issue is the Chicago Bears passing offense was so bad that there was just nothing to go around there. So if you were looking at the market share numbers, he was actually pretty good at commanding targets. But when the overall offensive pie is so small, it's very difficult for any player to be productive there through the passing game. So if Justin Fields in the overall Chicago Bears offense should be able to improve the passing volume, then I think Kmet can be better. And in reality, I mean, you're just not going to get anything for Kmet if you try to trade him. I'm just going to hold him. Now, we take Garrett Wilson at the 206. I mean, right now, Garrett Wilson's going in the end of round 1 of just 2023 best ball drafts on Underdog. Obviously, a player going into year 2 that's incredibly young. I mean, was a very strong prospect, was a phenomenal rookie, and now gets the quarterback upgrade. I mean, we used to be able to get Garrett Wilson in the middle of the 3rd round in Dynasty startup drafts at the beginning of the offseason. I mean, hell, I understand that we're taking him a lot higher than we used to. I mean, there was probably 4 weeks straight of us just drafting Garrett Wilson in the 3rd round every single draft we had the chance to. We'll take him here in the middle of the 2nd. Still, I think that he's going to be a fine value. Like, I would rather have Garrett Wilson over Christian McCaffrey. I'd rather have Garrett Wilson over A.J. Brown in Dynasty. And then we have Breece Hall, Bryce Young, Jonathan Taylor, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, as well as Chris Olave all going. Really like the value that you're getting with guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, as well as Chris Olave here at the very end of the second round. Ooh. Canella says, the guy on Flock Fantasy is better. Sorry, I'm late. Yes. I sadly have to agree with you. The guy on Flock Fantasy is better looking, smarter, funnier. He's just a better version of me in every way imaginable. The guy on the Dynasty Football Flock is a straight up clown who has no idea what the hell he's doing and continues to find a way to embarrass himself with every single video and with every single live stream. Okay. Now we have Kelsey going off the board here, 301. This team goes T. Higgins. It looks like that was an auto draft. In reality, it wasn't an auto draft. If you looked at ADP, it looked like he probably just queued him up and then let it run down. So yeah, Higgins 302, Tyreek Hill goes 303. This is about the point where we have to be looking around the board and figuring out what we are going to do. Okay, I know plan A. Let's come up with a plan B just in case. Okay, I have plan A, plan B, plan C. So we should be good. 3 picks until we're up. Kyle Pitts goes 305. Definitely not going to fault anybody for taking Kyle Pitts there. Logan on the clock after going Lamar Jackson and Breece Hall through the first 2 rounds. Go Saquon Barkley. Okay, our plan A was Dak Prescott here in the middle of the third, and we will get Dak Prescott at the 307. So, yeah, let's take him. Obviously, with Dak, took a massive step backwards this past season. I mean, last offseason, Dak Prescott was a quarterback that was going at the 1-2 turn. Don't want to sit here and act like Dak Prescott's the value of the draft, but, I mean, if you're going to get him in the middle of the third round, I'm going to be completely fine with it. I think one of the other guys that we are looking at, honestly, may make it back around to us at the 406. I think it's going to be a very strong team overall. I'm excited about this. Okay. Now we have Andrews directly after 308s. So one thing that you'll notice in general is once we get into like redraft season, right, which I'd say we are fast approaching redraft season. I'm sure that y'all noticed I'm not uploading as many videos here as we do at the very beginning of the offseason, and instead I'm kind of switching my attention over to what we have in 2023 redraft leagues right now. A lot of other people in their own dynasty leagues are doing the same thing, where instead of just thinking about the long-term outlook with these guys of how their dynasty team and how an individual player will look 5 years from now, which is what a lot of people do back in January, February, March, April, May. This is about the point where people begin to think, okay, how will these guys produce in 2023? Can this team be contending? And that's why you are getting some of these veterans such as Saquon Barkley going at the 306, whereas if you would have looked at this at the very beginning of the offseason, just Saquon Barkley would have really never gone there. That's why you're getting Tyreek Hill at the 303, which I'm not saying it's a bad selection at all, but I do want to point out, I mean, same thing with Christian McCaffrey at the 205, that you're definitely beginning to notice that the dynasty mindset is shifting for a lot of people from long-term to more short-term. Still a long-term approach, but Wu says, gonna hop in the Chihuahua. I did not even see that Underdog dropped a new tournament. Let me pull that up. Okay. Yeah, they just dropped a $4 turn. Oh, hell yes, I'm going to hop in here. Yes. Hell yes, yes, yes. Been waiting for a new Underdog tournament. Okay, oh crap. Eckler goes, so we weren't even paying attention. What the hell am I doing here? We're going to panic pick Christian Watson. We weren't really paying attention. There are a couple other players I think you make an argument to go ahead of Christian Watson here. Yeah, kind of embarrassing on my part. Yes, I know I am. I'm sorry. I'm going to blame this one on Wu, throwing my attention to the phone. But regardless, I mean, I think Christian Watson's a fine selection, right? What I do like about Christian Watson is this is a player that should be productive this next season. If you were looking at where he is going in comparison to some of these other guys in this range in 2023 best ball drafts, like DK Metcalf goes in the middle of the third, Christian Watson goes at the beginning of the fourth. However, if I take DK Metcalf at this point, a wide receiver that is in his age 25 season, I would rather go with the win now approach. Whereas if we take Christian Watson, I feel like we're going to be a little more balanced here, 406. But Chris coming out, thank you, my friend, says, change of pace. What's your favorite movie? Let me know. Can you narrow it down to genre for me? Favorite movie, I can take that in so many different directions. Narrow it down to genre, and I'll get you it. Okay, so Jordan Addison goes 409. Kenneth Walker goes 408. Clearly, I'll take Kenneth Walker there in the middle of the fourth without hesitation if it was not for the addition of Zach Charbonnet in Seattle. Okay, thriller. I'm not a big thriller fan. Let me think. Let me just make sure I even know what the category is. Thriller movies. Make sure I'm thinking the right way. Okay, actually, no, this is an easy answer. Yeah, this is an easy answer. I would say definitely Shutter Island. Probably best thriller movie. I'm a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan, though. Okay, so Najee Harris goes off the board there, 411. Let's move this down a bit. So once we take Christian Watson, why I do like it, like if we're comparing it to the other picks in this range, right? Like if you were looking at Christian Watson versus DK Metcalf, I feel like once you take DK Metcalf, you're kind of pot committed to going through and trying to win in 2023. And if you go ahead and take Jordan Addison, I feel like you're more so going to be committed for the long-term build, right? Where with the build that we have so far of Lawrence, Garrett Wilson, Dak Prescott, Christian Watson, I feel very comfortable with this team kind of still being in the middle of the road. Whether we can want to win this season, that's a possibility. If we want to try to go for the long-term approach, that's also a possibility. So I think that the Christian Watson selection just gives us a little more flexibility than going with one of the other wide receivers in this range. Daniel Jones, 502. Daniel Jones was actually a player I was also considering there in the fourth. Just more so what I've found is you are getting phenomenal values at quarterback later in these dynasty drafts. I don't know if it's just the mock drafts that we've been doing on the channel as of late. I don't know if it's in all dynasty startups right now, but I've been able to find some killer quarterback values later on, which is one of the reasons why we stayed away from Daniel Jones there in round 4. Okay, now we need to come up with a plan here, right? Jacobs goes. Okay, come on, Mason. Don't embarrass yourself. Try to make a good pick for the first time in your life. Okay. Why do I not just have flockfantasy.com pulled up? What am I doing here? Okay. Logan goes Chubb. I think we may go Pollard, to be honest. We have Dak, so we can go ahead and we can say that we are getting the Dallas correlation. Pollard's definitely a win now asset, but I'd say the same thing with Henry, Dameon Pierce, Javonte, Deebo Samuel. Pollard goes significantly ahead of the rest of these guys if you're looking at 2023 underdog drafts as well. So let's go ahead. Let's take Tony Pollard 507. Once we take Pollard 507, we are at that point wanting to go ahead and pivot to the win now approach, right? I'd say if you're looking at Pollard, you're not drafting Tony Pollard because you want to be building a team out for 2024, 2025. You're drafting Tony Pollard specifically for you to win this next season. Now, of course, if we just get some crazy rookie values later on, we can always pivot off and then say that if this was a real league, we would trade Tony Pollard after the startup draft. But I think that's where we're probably going to have to leave here. Brad says, came to smash that like button, then draft in the Chihuahua on Underdog. We will get in an Underdog draft right after this one, my friend. I think we have that live stream scheduled in about 2.5 hours on the Flock Fantasy YouTube channel. We will get into that Underdog draft. And just in case you're watching this, you're not already drafting on Underdog, like seems like everybody here is, you can go sign up with the link in the live chat description or comment section. Use promo code FLOCK, available in damn near every state. The largest fantasy football drafts going right now. Like we said, best ball, so no time commitment at all during the year. And yeah, I mean, by far and away, my favorite place to play. And if you use promo code FLOCK, you'll get a 100% deposit match. So it's pretty much free for you to check out. Plus a free trial to flockfantasy.com, as well as my Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings and my 2023 Fantasy Football rankings. Okay. Now we have Pittman going off 5'11". Let's move this down. Brandon Ayuk goes at the end of the 5th, as well as George Pickens. Yeah, so honestly, based off the quarterback values falling, I am more comfortable with my decision of passing on Daniel Jones earlier in the draft. Like, I just think that we have to show some restraint when it comes to drafting these quarterbacks, just because some of the crazy values that we are getting. Okay, Javonte goes 602. I mean, if you're looking at expectations in 2023 drafts, kind of tell you not to draft Javonte, but I've actually been drafting Javonte a lot on the Underdog specifically because this is a running back that goes in like the mid running back 3 range, which I actually really like that price point. Okay. What do we do? I think you could make a strong argument for Jamison Williams or Treylon Burks, specifically because we pivot over to a win now approach. However, I will take Deebo Samuel. I think that this just more so builds the team out with our decision to go ahead and take Tony Pollard there, 507. So if you're looking at Deebo Samuel in comparison to some of the other guys in this range, Deebo Samuel right now goes in around 3 of 2023 drafts. Deebo Samuel was in the same draft class as Terry McLaurin in 2019. Deebo Samuel is probably younger than Calvin Ridley. I mean, if we're going to go ahead and look at this, Calvin Ridley, 28, Deebo Samuel, I mean, he stayed so long at South Carolina as well, but still is only 27. So Deebo Samuel kind of goes higher than the players that he is selected ahead of. He's selected behind in this draft. He goes higher than them in 2023 drafts. And at the same time, he's younger than a few of these guys. I know everybody's in on Ayuk, though, right? So, I mean, everybody's excited to take Brandon Ayuk in round 5, and nobody's excited to grab Deebo Samuel here in round 6. Frank says, if I'm going to go win now, get DJ Moore. I mean, right now, DJ Moore is going significantly behind Deebo Samuel in 2023 drafts. Like, if you're looking at the overall passing volume that you should have in Chicago, there's just not going to be a lot of yardage to go around. Jordan Love goes 612. Gucci Broomstick says, I'm personally not a fan of Deebo anymore. I don't think anybody's a fan of Deebo Samuel, to be honest. Like, there are very few people that I know that are actually excited to draft Deebo Samuel, and that's a big reason why he goes here in the middle of the 6th round. Like, I mean, Deebo Samuel goes, at this point, 6 picks after Brandon Ayuk, despite Ayuk never being as productive. And people go, oh, yeah, that's how it should be. You know, like, I think it's the cool thing not to like Deebo Samuel. I've never been that big of a Deebo Samuel fanboy, but at some price point, you kind of have to pull the trigger. So Lance goes 702, so I'm safe for myself, and we are not able to embarrass ourselves by taking Trey Lance here. Gucci says, I think Deebo's great for best ball, but not solid enough for regular fantasy. Have y'all looked at the numbers when it comes to Deebo Samuel? Like, and I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm just saying, like, realistic question. Let's pull this up. George Kittle goes 704. I definitely would have taken Kittle if he would have fallen, just given the fact that, great value, and at the same time, would have been an interesting spot where we could go ahead and pair him with Deebo Samuel and kind of bet on the overall passing volume there in San Francisco. Godwin goes 705. Goddard off the board. Yeah, so this is why we decided to pass on quarterback earlier on. So we can go ahead, we can grab Geno Smith at 707. I mean, if you were looking at the situation that Geno Smith has this upcoming year, he's going to be sitting with DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett. They even go ahead and invest into, Zach Charbonnet, a better passing down running back for Geno Smith as well. I think you can make a strong argument that Geno Smith is the best pick that we've made in this draft so far. I don't want to say he's the best pick of the draft, but out of my team, my first 7 picks, I think that you can be confident. I can be confident that Geno Smith's probably the best value that we've had. Okay, so Akers goes 710. Let's move this over. Jared says new underdog draft. Yes, sir. We will get into the new underdog draft at about 6. Zach Charbonnet goes here 801. So if you're going to be looking at where the rookies go in this draft, Zach Charbonnet here going ahead of Zay Flowers, which honestly, I'm not going to complain about. Y'all know Zach Charbonnet was my pick for the 110 after Zay Flowers at 109. In rookie drafts this season. I'm actually kind of excited to see people at least in a little bit on Zach Charbonnet. Okay, now Rodgers goes 804. Once we have Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, it's not like we're looking to add another quarterback, right? So good for us to see QBs go off the board. Deontay goes. Okay, so Rachaad White's the pick if we just want to focus in on points this next season. I'm sorry, Hollywood Brown. I don't know why I said Rachaad White. Just from a value perspective, however, I think we probably want to be going with Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers can contribute this next year. If you're looking at year 2 for Zay Flowers in Baltimore, most likely not going to have Odell Beckham Jr. Who the hell knows if Rachaad White's going to turn into anything? If you were looking at where Zay Flowers was going in startup drafts, say a month ago, it was significantly higher than this. I wasn't even a big Zay Flowers fanboy in rookie drafts this past year, but hell, he was the 109. I felt like it would be very hard to trade the 109 for Deontay Johnson. It'd be very hard to trade Deontay Johnson for the 109, Amari Cooper for the 109, Christian Kirk for the 109. Back when we were in a rookie draft season. So, yeah. I think we're probably going to go Zay. Gucci Broomstick says, you plan on bringing back the weekend flock interviews? Definitely. Family was in town this past week. As y'all have noticed, we've been doing way less live streams on the Dynasty channel. Need to pick up a couple of the different live streams that we were doing, including the team breakdowns as well. Alan says, got to go Zay here. Yeah, I don't want to sit here and act like Zay Flowers is a great pick for this team, but I feel like given the value that we get in the middle of the 8th, you kind of just have to take him. Okay. Now, Aaron Jones goes 8-10. Rachaad White, 8-11. So Dalton Kincaid's another player that would have gone significantly higher than this if you were drafting back a month ago. But you've just seen the overall Dynasty community, I don't want to say sour on Kincaid, but in my mind, just maybe have more realistic expectations of what you should be getting from a rookie tight end in year 1, even if they are in a phenomenal situation. Gucci Broomstick says, what team would you rate the highest so far? So generally in these startup drafts, the teams at the very top are just going to have a significant advantage over the rest of the field. If you're able to take Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, it's just so much better than any other round 1 startup pick that it's a little unfair. So if we're going to try to focus in on those teams, because those are most likely where the most value is coming from, my favorite team through the first 3 picks is going to be the Allen, Waddle, Higgins team. I would say my favorite team in this draft would have been the team at 1 that has Patrick Mahomes, Olave, if instead of going with the 34-year-old tight end at the 301, they decided to take T. Higgins. If they went Mahomes, Olave, Higgins rather than Mahomes, Olave, Kelsey, even if they do get the Mahomes and Kelsey stack, I would have preferred that, and they probably would have been my favorite team. Okay. Now let's move this down. Hopkins goes 904. So quarterback, best guys available: Purdy, Levis, Mac Jones, Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell, Matthew Stafford. Running back, Dalvin, Kamara, Kendra Miller, Alexander Madison, David Montgomery, A.J. Dillon. Wide receiver, Keenan Allen, Kadarius Toney, Mike Evans, Rashee Rice, Tyler Lockett. Tight end, Dalton. Okay, so we may take Kincaid here. We're going to go ahead and take Kincaid, very similar to Zay Flowers. You just simply would not have been able to get this price point on Dalton Kincaid a month or two ago. Now, I definitely think that he was overvalued a month or two ago. Whenever Dalton Kincaid was going in round 7 of these startup drafts, thought it was a little crazy because if you look at year 1 expectations, really shouldn't expect much at all from rookie tight ends. And obviously that impacts what their dynasty value is going forward. With all that being said, and with me being the wet blanket with Dalton Kincaid for quite some time now, to be fair to him, I mean, at the end of the day, the man is in Buffalo. He should see a lot of slot routes. It is the 907. It's one pick before Dalvin Cook here. Michael Mayer, Alexander Madison both go after. Yeah, so if I'm seeing Michael Mayer go after at the 909, makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, a little more confident with our Kincaid selection at the 907. Yeah, Madison goes here. So a big thing that you can use, and I understand a lot of people are probably annoyed with me talking about like expectations of 2023 and redraft ADP. But if you're going to take like a win now asset, right, it's very useful to look at ADP for 2023 leagues. So like, for instance, you can look at Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison, and we can say, okay, neither guy you're excited about in 2024. You're not going to be sitting here and jumping up and down with whatever expectations you have for Dalvin Cook or Alexander Madison. Not in 2023, but in 2024, it's just not happening. So if we're drafting either guy for just 2023, shouldn't we look at what the market is telling us with their 2023 ADP and use that as a tiebreaker there, if that makes sense? Okay. Okay, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight ends. Okay. We're going to reach on our guy here. We're going to take Tyler Lockett. A big reason that we do this is, one, we're a win now team with the approach that we took earlier in this draft. I mean, obviously we're not super old. Hopefully this is a win now team that has a little bit of runway. Not only are we contending in 2023, but hopefully in 2024 as well. But we have Geno Smith there at the 707. So I feel like it's probably an advantageous spot for us to go ahead and get the correlation in there with the Seattle Seahawks offense. So far at quarterback, we have Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith. Wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Deebo Samuel, Zay Flowers, Tyler Lockett. Running back, we have Tony Pollard. So definitely the anchor RB approach here with this draft in particular. And hopefully we can find some running backs at a decent value that we like a little later on. Jay says, should I trade a future third for Roschon Johnson? If you like Roschon Johnson, then sure. If you don't like Roschon Johnson, then probably not. I think that's primarily up to you and your personal preference, my friend. I personally would be happy to trade a third for Roschon. Okay, so let's move this down. So Kamara goes 1009. So yeah, Alvin Kamara is someone else that I'm drafting a lot in 2023 leagues, right? Like in underdog drafts where it's like $1 million first place prize, $3 million first place prize. Like if you are looking at the massive, massive prize pools where you're trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17, I'll mix in Alvin Kamara there because he's going as a running back 3. But in those drafts, Alvin Kamara goes way after David Montgomery, you know? So if expectations are that David Montgomery is better in 2023 and David Montgomery was drafted in 2019, Alvin Kamara drafted in 2017, does it make sense for Alvin Kamara to be drafted ahead of David Montgomery here in a dynasty startup? Probably not. Okay. Levis goes 1104. Quarterback, Ritter, Stafford, Jimmy G, Hendon Hooker. Running back, James Conner, Antonio Gibson, Roschon Johnson, take Bigsby, Khalil Herbert, Tyler Algier. Wide receiver, Rashee Rice, Josh Downs, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jalen Hyatt, Brandon Cooks. Tight end, Evan Ingram, Dalton Schultz, Cole Kmet. Okay. See what Logan does. I know exactly what I would do if I were Logan, but I don't know if he does it. We'll see. He goes James Conner. I mean, in my mind, Matthew Stafford is the easy selection there, right? Like, I almost want to take Matthew Stafford for our team, and I would if this was a real league, and I'd say, okay, we would trade him after the start of draft. But it seems like every single draft that we do here on the live stream, we do that 10 times over, where we take one too many quarterbacks and say, if this was a real league, I'd be able to get enough value for this guy. I'm not going to continue to do that in every single one of these startups, just so we can make it a little more interesting. So we'll pass on Stafford for Rashee Rice. I mean, if we're going to be looking at Rice, this is a wide receiver that hopefully does not follow the same path as what you've had with pretty much any rookie wide receiver with Andy Reid or the Kansas City Chiefs over the past few seasons. Hopefully he's able to buck the trend and actually do something year one and increase his dynasty value. More so looking at the bet just as one that has asymmetric upside. And I'm not a believer in Kadarius Toney, not really a believer in Sky Moore anymore. So going to go ahead and take Rice here, 1107. I think he's also the guy that is not going to make it back to us if we pass on him, where there are a couple other options that I'd be fine with at the 1206. Let's move this down. Juju goes here at the end of the 11th. So other wide receivers, you had Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt, Brandon Cooks, Cortland Sutton, Jaden Reed, Sky Moore, John Mechie, Michael Thomas, Jacoby Myers. Tight end, you have Evan Ingram, Dalton Schultz, Cole Kmet, the year 2 tight end in Tennessee, Greg Dulcich. Quarterback, Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, Baker Mayfield. Running back, Roschon Johnson, take Bigsby, Khalil Herbert, Tyler Algier. I like our team. I really do. Josh Downs goes here at the end of the 11th. So if you're going to be tracking where the rookies are going in this startup draft, so here, essentially the rookies, give you an idea what they're worth and where they should go in your rookie draft. Bijan Robinson, 101, goes at the end of the first. Bryce Young, 102, Anthony Richardson, 102, goes at the end of the first as well. Bryce Young, 103, goes at the 208. Jahmyr Gibbs, 104, goes at the 304. CJ Stroud, 105, goes at the 309. JSN, 106, goes at the 312. Jordan Addison, 107, goes at the 409. Quentin Johnston, 108, goes to the 501. Then who was the next rookie? We got a long stretch of no rookies. Then you have Zach Charbonnet, 109 at the 801. Then we take Zay Flowers, the 110 in the middle of the 8th. Devon Achane goes at pick 11 here at the end of the 8th. Jonathan Mingo goes to the 112, the beginning of the 9th. We take Dalton Kincaid at the beginning of the 2nd round of the rookie draft, here in the middle of the 9th round of the startup draft. And everybody else 2nd round picks. So yeah, so the big reason why we decided to go ahead and pass on Evan Ingram in the last round is just because pretty confident that we were going to get a tight end on the way back around here. I actually think that we can still get another tight end coming back to us. So we're going to mix in a running back. We're going to go Tank Bigsby. I think you can go back and forth between Tank Bigsby or Roschon Johnson. I would be more excited about the long-term appeal of Roschon Johnson and the short-term appeal of Tank Bigsby. So whenever we have not a rebuilding team, but whenever we have a team that we're more so focused in on that long-term upside, we probably go Roschon. If we're looking for 2023, we'll take Tank here. The big issue, of course, is if you're looking at Tank in the long term, Etienne's still going to be there. But I mean, we already bet on this Jacksonville Jaguars offense by going ahead and taking Trevor Lawrence there at pick 7. So might as well kind of double down on that bet by taking Tank Bigsby here, 1206. Taylor says, not Dynasty related, but new Chihuahua draft up on Underdog. Yes, we will get to the Underdog draft later today on the Flock Fantasy YouTube channel, my friend. I mean, I think we already have that scheduled for 6 p.m. And I'm sure that a lot of people are going to show up for that. So please make sure 6 p.m. Central, go to Flock Fantasy's YouTube channel and get into some Chihuahua drafts with us. We'll probably draft a lot of them, to be honest. Okay, Sky Moore goes here at the end of the 12th. I'm actually fine with this Sky Moore price tag if you wanted to invest into him here. Okay, so quarterback. Tannehill still available. Let me know, do y'all think Zach Wilson finds himself as a starting quarterback ever again in the NFL? Not saying I'll take Zach Wilson here, but outside of injury, do you think that there's a chance that, like, say, Baker Mayfield's a disaster in Tampa and Tampa sends a 6th-round pick to Zach Wilson to start for 2 games? Running back, we have Roschon, Tyler Algier, Chase Brown, Jamal Williams. Gucci Broomstick says yes. Frank says probably Rodgers is old and develop under him. Dear God, I hope not. I'm assuming you probably don't. Okay, Kmet was actually going to be the guy that we were looking for on the way back round. Sad that we do not get him here. Definitely not going to take a tight end at this point then. Instead, we're going to pivot back over to the running back position, and we'll take Roschon Johnson. So we were looking at grabbing a Roschon possibly in the middle of the 12th anyway. So the fact that we get him here in the middle of the 13th, I will be very excited about. I think he has a shot at the starting job in Chicago this next season, even if most likely it will be Khalil Herbert. I like Roschon Johnson, Hook'em Lawrence, of course. And I really like the price point that we were getting him at here. I mean, getting him behind Michael Thomas seems ideal in my mind. Chase Brown, Jalen Hyatt, Tyler Algier. I really like the Algier value as well. I'd probably rather have Tyler Algier than Chase Brown. Bargustus says, took up your strategy on drafting best available. At quarterback, we have Mahomes, Bryce, and Kyler in a 12-team Superflex league. Would you trade any 3 in year 1? Tank, and if so, who? Not necessarily. Because if you're wanting to go productive struggle, Patrick Mahomes should still be a great asset to build around in the long term. Bryce Young is hopefully only going to get better from where he is now. Kyler Murray is the perfect option to have on a tanking team, considering the man's not going to play half the season. Briner says, I like my team better than my real Dynasty team. Goes and cries. That is pretty funny, my friend. Okay, so let's swing this around. Figure out what we are doing here. Okay, I like our team. I really do. I think we have a plan A and a plan B here. Elijah Mitchell goes. Elijah Mitchell actually was our plan A. Now we're going to pivot over to our plan B, which... let's just take another tight end to say we did it. Let's go ahead and let's take Irv Smith Jr. here. Someone that we possibly can start if Dalton Kincaid isn't startable year 1. So this is going to be the team. Quarterback, we have Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith. Wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Deebo Samuel, Zay Flowers, Tyler Lockett, Rashee Rice. Running back, went with the hero RB approach of Tony Pollard, Tank Bigsby, Roschon Johnson. Obviously, if we were continuing this, we'd just slam running backs through the following rounds. And then tight end, we have Dalton, Kincaid, as well as Irv Smith Jr. But thank you so much, everybody, for coming to hang out with us in this draft. Of course, really, really appreciate you. And as always, if you want to get in our next draft, you can. We are drafting at 6 today and literally every single day until the start of the season on Underdog. Find that link in the live chat description, comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match. And also with the minimum of a $10 deposit, get my 2023 Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings at a free trial to flockfantasy.com. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate y'all. Really hope you have a great day and really hope that we get to see you out with the video tomorrow.